You know that feeling when you dive into something completely new and realize you probably have no idea what you're doing? That was me about a month ago when I first picked up my first Jinx Riftbound deck, and I thought I knew card games pretty well, but Riftbound, it's pretty complicated, I must admit. But after about a month of getting absolutely destroyed at my Nexus nights, slowly trying to figure out the fundamentals, and making more mistakes than I care to admit, I've learned some crucial lessons that I wish someone had told me on day one. So if you're thinking about getting into Riftbound yourself or you're struggling like I was, hopefully this video helps you save a bit of confusion and probably some money too. And I'm going to share the 8 biggest lessons that I've learned from understanding the core mechanics that actually matter, to finding affordable ways to build competitive decks, and to navigating the community without looking like a complete noob. So let's dive in. Lesson number 1, master the fundamentals. So here's the thing about Riftbound that nobody tells you up front. It looks incredibly complicated when you first see it, but once you understand the core fundamentals, everything else starts to click into place. I spent my first week trying to memorize every single card interaction and getting overwhelmed by all the different mechanics. The breakthrough came when I realized that there are just 4 concepts you really need to master: Awakening, Battlefield Positioning, Channeling Ruins, and then Draw Phase. That's it. So start with those basics, or everything else builds on those foundations. Awakening is basically how you power up your units so that they're able to move. Battlefield means to look at any beginning abilities or count for any points. Channeling Ruins gives you the resources to play your cards, and then Draw Phase just means drawing a card from your deck. Once I stopped trying to learn everything at once and focused on at least these 4 fundamentals, games became somewhat bit more manageable. And the best way to learn these fundamentals? Just play. I know that sounds obvious, but I wasted time watching tutorial videos when I should have been getting hands-on experience. Whether it's family, friends, or at your local card shop's game night, there's no substitute for actual gameplay. But understanding the basics is just the beginning. You also need to decode what your opponents are trying to do. Lesson 2, reading domains is your secret weapon. This might be the most underrated skill in Riftbound, and it took me 3 weeks to figure out how powerful it actually is. Every legend in the game has 2 domain colors, and these colors tell you exactly what kind of strategy your opponent might be playing. Red usually means aggressive, fast damage. Yellow typically means sacrifice mechanics and trading units for value. Blue is all about spells and instant effects. Green focuses equipment and buffing units. Purple leans kind of like towards control, discarding cards, and disruption. Orange is about big, beefy units that dominate the game. Once you know this color coding, you can kind of predict your opponent's game plan before they even play their first card. Facing a red-yellow legend, expect them to come out swinging early and trade aggressively. Playing against blue-purple, they're probably going to control the game and counter your moves. I started keeping mental notes of which domain combinations gave me the most trouble, and it completely changed how I now approach the game at the start of my turn. Now, instead of reacting to whatever they played, I can kind of prepare for their strategy from turn 1. Now, speaking of strategy, let me tell you about the biggest money-saving revelation that I had. Lesson number 3, building decks doesn't have to break the bank. Now, when I first started looking at competitive decks lists online, I had a heart attack because some of these cost hundreds of dollars, and I thought that was the only way to be competitive. Turns out I was wrong, and the Riftbound community is incredibly generous. I built my first quote-unquote competitive deck from almost nothing just by asking around. My friends who had been playing a bit longer had boxes full of cards that they weren't using, and they were happy to share and give me cards. One person from a Nexus night literally gave me enough cards to build a complete Jinx deck because he had moved to other strategies. Local card shops may have bulk boxes where you can find playable cards for cheap, and I've seen people build solid decks for under $20 by digging through these bulk boxes. The key is knowing which cards are actually important for your strategy versus which ones are just looking expensive. Don't get caught up in having the most expensive cards right away. That was a mistake that I did. Focus on understanding how different cards work together, then upgrade your deck piece by piece as you find better deals or trades with other players. And speaking of finding cards, the market situation right now is actually pretty favorable for new players. Lesson number 4, product is available if you know where to look. Now, despite what some people say about Riftbound being hard to find, I've had no trouble getting the products that I wanted. Yes, the market has been fluctuating, and yes, some stores charge more than others, but if you're patient and you shop around, you can find everything at reasonable prices. I've been buying Spirit Forge packs for around $7 or less, and Origins for less than $10 at local card shops. That's not bad considering the value that you get. I've also found great deals on Facebook Marketplace and OfferUp, people selling collections they don't want anymore, often at significant discounts. The trick is not to panic buy when you see something in stock. I made that mistake early on grabbing products at inflated prices like an Origins booster box because I was afraid that it'd disappear. But restocks are happening regularly and patience usually does save money. And if you're looking for a specific card rather than packs, buying singles is almost always more cost effective than trying to pull it from boosters. Just like any other card game, chasing specific cards through pack opening is a recipe to spend way more money than necessary. But here's where things get interesting. The competitive scene isn't as rigid as you might think. Lesson number 5, the meta exists, but you don't have to follow it. Yes, there are definitely decks that perform better than others in tournaments. Draven and Irelia are popular right now because they're consistent and powerful, but here's what I learned that surprised me. You don't have to play the best deck to have fun or even to win games. I've stuck with my Jinx deck this entire month, and even though it's not considered top tier, simply because I enjoy the playstyle. The explosive, chaotic nature of Jinx matches kind of my playstyle, and that enjoyment translates into better gameplay because I'm more engaged and motivated to actually learn my deck's intricacies. At local tournaments and casual game nights, deck variety is actually encouraged. I watched a Renata deck win a recent skirmish in my area, proving that skill and deck knowledge often matters more than playing whatever's currently dominating the professional meta. The meta is useful information to have. It tells you what strategies are popular and what you might face in competitive play, but don't let it dictate your entire Riftbound experience. Build and play what excites you and has you fun, and you'll have a much better time learning the game. This brings me to one of my most important lessons I learned about the social aspect of Riftbound. Lesson number 6, community is everything. I can't overstate how much better this game becomes when you have people to play with regularly. I started out attending random game nights at local card shops because I had no one else to play with, but now I have a solid group of like 6 to 8 friends who all play Riftbound together. We've created our own little ecosystem. We buy cards and trade with each other. We check each other's bulk collections for cards that we need. We share information about restocks and good deals that we find. And most importantly, we've turned game night into a social event that we all could look forward to. Having regular opponents also accelerates your learning dramatically. You start to understand different play styles, you see how various decks perform against each other, and you get comfortable with the social dynamics of the game. Plus, when you make mistakes, and you will make mistakes, you're learning in a supportive environment rather than getting crushed by strangers. The Riftbound community, both locally and online, has been incredibly welcoming, and people are genuinely excited to share their knowledge and help new players improve. So don't be afraid to ask questions or admit when you don't understand something. Which leads me to something I think is crucial for the health of the game. Lesson number 7, be kind to new players, because you were one too. And just the other night, I played against someone who was completely brand new to Riftbound. Watching them struggle with the same concept I had wrestled with about 6 weeks ago was like looking in a mirror. It instantly reminded me of how overwhelming this game can feel when you're just starting out. I took extra time to explain interactions, help them understand why certain plays were strong or weak, and I made sure that they felt welcomed rather than intimidated. This isn't just about being a decent human being, though that's important too. It's about growing the community and ensuring that the game has a healthy future. Every expert player was once a beginner who needed patience and guidance, and the person who taught me the fundamentals could have easily gotten frustrated with my constant questions and slow play, but instead they invested the time to help me out and improve. Now I just try to pay it forward whenever I can, especially when I'm playing someone new. And if you're an experienced player reading this, remember that your attitude toward new players directly impacts whether they stick with the game or give up with frustration. And if you're new to Riftbound, don't be afraid to ask for help. Most players are happy to share their knowledge, but beyond just being kind, there's a practical element to build relationships in the Riftbound community. Lesson number 8, relationships open doors. Now this might sound calculating, but building genuine friendships within the Riftbound community has practical benefits that go way beyond just having people to play with. The relationships that I've formed over the past month have enhanced every aspect of my gaming experience. My trading partners now message me first when they get new cards that they think I might want, and I get heads up about restocks at local card shops if they have Riftbound in stock. When someone in our group finds a good deal online, they share it with everyone else. For example, my brother just shared how to get Unleashed booster boxes at a good price. And we even started coordinating our purchases so that we can split shipping costs together on larger orders. These relationships also provide a support network for improving your gameplay. Having people who know your deck and playstyle means getting targeted advice that actually does help you out. They can spot patterns in your play that you might miss, suggest cards that you haven't considered, and help you prepare for different matchups. And the social aspect extends beyond just your local community too. There's online Riftbound groups, Discord servers, and forums full of people sharing strategies, discussing new cards, and organizing virtual tournaments. Being part of these communities helps you connect to the broader ecosystem of the game. Now, looking back at this past month, I'm amazed at how much my understanding and enjoyment of Riftbound has evolved. What started as a confusing mess of unfamiliar mechanics has become one of my favorite ways to spend an evening with friends. The most important thing that I learned with Riftbound is that it rewards patience and community engagement more than just raw spending power or natural talent. Yes, understanding the fundamentals is crucial, and yes, having decent cards helps, but the real magic happens when you find your people and start building those relationships. And if you're thinking about getting into Riftbound, don't overthink it. Grab a starter deck, find some people to play with, and start learning through experience. Make mistakes, ask questions, and be patient with yourself as you figure things out. And if you're already playing but struggling with some of the same issues that I faced, remember that everyone's journey is different. Focus on what you enjoy about the game, invest in your local community, and don't be afraid to forge your own path rather than just copying what everyone else is doing. The Riftbound community is growing, the game is evolving, and there's never been a better time to jump in. Whether you're a complete beginner or someone looking to take their game to the next level, the lessons that I've learned today hopefully should help you out and avoid some of the pitfalls that I stumbled into.